When your entire life is online, you need more than just speed from your internet. Xfinity gives you reliable in-home Wi-Fi coverage, plus protection from Wi-Fi network threats. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Restrictions apply.
Breaking up is hard to do, but when it comes to your wireless carrier, you should have left a while ago. You deserve better. Xfinity Mobile. Break free from the big three.
Get unlimited with 5G included for $30 a month when you get 4 lines on Xfinity Mobile. Prices may vary and are subject to change. Reduced speeds at 20 gigabytes per line.
Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, we are changing it up a bit, and we are reviewing the first season of the Netflix original, Shadow and Bone. We are also comparing it to its original works. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Participate in this book discussion by joining the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. Talk about the series with us there, as well as other bookish topics. I hope to hear your thoughts on this book discussion. As always, you can find the three of us on Twitter and Instagram. The links for everything are below in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with some book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. That would really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing so. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show. We get even more candid with what we have to say. So if you're interested in that at all, you'll need to come on over to Patreon and sign up. Before we get started, I have to issue a spoiler warning. This is a roundtable book discussion, so nothing is off limits. You've been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Joining me is feature co-host Casey from Heart Full of Ink. Welcome back, Casey.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
So today, guys, we are diving into the show that we just finished binging, and that is Shadow and Bone on Netflix, which is an adaptation from the Lee Bardugo Grisha universe, or Grishaverse, as they like to call
Grishaverse?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just dive in.
All right. As some of you know, Tamara and I tried reading Six of Crows last week. We did a very exclusive episode detailing all of our thoughts and feelings, which you can find on Patreon.
Yes.
And we had feelings. We had lots of feelings.
We really did. And by my chuckle and, our laughter, I'm sure you can tell what kind of feelings they were. So
we did not like the book. Yeah. But we wanted to read it because those characters were in the TV show.
Yes.
And I am happy that we read it, so I had the context for those characters while watching the show. But that's about it.
Agreed.
I'll stop there. Go listen to our episode and you'll understand.
Yes, you will understand. And I did misread the characters I thought we were going to see from the Six of Crows, because at the point where we recorded that, I had only saw one episode of Shadow and Bone. Mm-hmm. So I had made some assumptions we would only see, Inej, Kaz, and Jesper, but wrong.
Nina showed up.
Yes. Nina showed up, and so did Matthias. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing there's room for Wayland later.
Yeah. Fun fact, I forgot Nina existed as a character until she was on the boat, 2 episodes after seeing her. And I'm like, oh, this is Nina. That Nina from the book that I read a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you totally forgot her that fast? Oh, my God.
I forgot her that fast. And she was one of my favorite characters in the book. You guys, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Oh, yikes. I don't know what to say.
No, I was like, Nina, okay, that's a person. And then she's on the boat. I'm like, oh,
that one.
That
they introduced her differently.
Mm-hmm. She was working for the Darkling. And I guess that just threw me. Like, I was like, person working for the Darkling. Okay, sure, that counts as something. And then she's on the boat, and I'm like, oh.
Well, I'm surprised it didn't catch you that scene so there was a scene in a restaurant. Now it happened differently in the book, but basically the same thing happened. So she and Matthias are together in a restaurant on the show, and some other Grisha that know her come up to her like, hey, what are you doing with that guy? You could have just knocked him out. And what's up? And then all of a sudden she claims he's a slaver.
He's a slaver. Yeah, no, I recognized that, but that was like by the end of the show. But it was at the very beginning when we first see her. We're like, yeah, Nina, she's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, random person named Nina. And then she gets captured and put on the boat. And I'm like, oh, this book that I read a week ago.
Oh, as she's screaming for Matthias to listen to her, and he's like, don't talk to me, you traitor, basically.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, oh, he tries to kill her. He tries to strangle her through the bars. Like, oh. Yep. Snap. That's so funny. But I actually kind of got a chuckle out of that, to be honest.
Yes. I definitely liked Nina's character in this, in the TV show. Thinking back to the book and the very little bit that I remembered from reading it a week ago. Again, let me just keep saying that I read it a week ago and forgot everything. She felt kind of passive in the book. In the book, Matthias sees her after he's been in jail for a year, and he immediately starts strangling her, and she just kind of lets him.
Yeah.
And then here in the TV show, she's fighting him the whole time. And I'm like, I like this Nina. I really do.
Yeah, like just because I feel guilty and yes, I effed up, that doesn't mean you could kill me. So bam, get your hand off me.
No.
So yeah, I did like her. I actually like this entire cast. I feel like they really did a good job with the casting. They made some slight changes on the Grisha side, as far as Alina. Or like Alina, yeah, I don't know.
Alina.
They decided to make her half Shu, which is like of Asian descent, basically, versus like everybody else in that area. It's like kind of like Russian / Czech / that whole area, influence. So I like that they made that change there. And I also like that I feel they were really close to what I visualized for the Crows. That team of people.
Yeah, that team looked very much like what I expected them to look like. Kaz was that very punchable asshole that you just hate and want to punch. I really enjoyed Jesper's character. It still rubs me the wrong way that he's so addicted to gambling and he's the only Black gay man in this show. And he's like, can never turn away from any sort of gambling anything ever. But other than that, I love him. I love his relationship with the goat and how he's just like in love with that goat. That was adorable. Yeah. I love everything else about him, his confidence, his swagger. But the gambling thing, why gambling? I know we talked about this with the book, but why gambling?
It doesn't really fit. I mean, his sharpshooter skills are on point. And it comes in a clutch. I mean, he's got this like really flirty yet smart Alec almost personality that's like, oh, I can see us being friends. We're cool, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like his character.
I would want to be friends with him. But then, he's so addicted to gambling. And I'm like, why gambling?
What? Yeah.
Why is this his part of his character?
Maybe they'll tell us more in season 2 about his background.
I hope so. Again, we're not going to read book 2. So.
Season 2 and 3 have been approved on Netflix. And I can tell I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I just want to just insert here that I feel like they are going to be off book very soon because how quickly they got to the end of that story arc. For the trilogy.
No, they jumped really, really fucking fast. And again, because my brain like erased all of this, I'm sitting there at the end of the book going, wait, didn't they hunt the stag in book 2?
Yes.
there something in book 3 about the fold? Did they just like condense the entire trilogy into 2 episodes? No, they did not, but that's what my brain was doing.
I feel like, so, because the stag was basically the end of book 3, if I remember right.
No, actually, it's
it
book
wasn't.
1. I had to go read the Wikipedia page this morning. Yes.
So that tells you how fast we forgot these damn books. So maybe next season we might actually get introduced to Nikolai.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You saw him briefly for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's in the background. He didn't speak or say anything.
No, he didn't speak no. I was like, oh, it's the blonde prince guy. Like, is this our whole character arc for him, just walking across in the background?
Yeah, because I do feel like he did not really come into the books until book 2.
I don't think so. Yeah, he was definitely a later character.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about him. I remember that I liked him and briefly considered reading his books, but then I never did, and I don't remember anything
You're like,
about
no
him.
Thanks.
Nope.
Randomly, I think it dawned on me why I think that Ben Barnes is a good actor to pick for Captain what was his captain? What they call him? Captain
Kerrigan.
General Kerrigan, aka the Darkling. Because I forgot he was in Westworld. And he was a villain in Westworld on HBO.
I haven't watched Westworld.
Oh, he was a D-bag on Westworld. And I'm like, ugh. So to me, I'm like,
it's a creepy D-bag here.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess that was a good pick. So really, I really think they did a good job with the casting here. Zoya, I liked her character, even though she was really mean to her in the books, but whatever.
I mean, she needed some girl fight because it was published in 2012, and they needed girl fights in 2012. That was one of the few things I had hoped they would have changed if I had any expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
Which again, didn't have any.
Yeah. But I liked still that they didn't like each other, though, even though at the end she's like, look, I don't like you. They
begrudgingly accept each other.
But I respect you. You kind of save people's lives.
Yeah.
We're good. Good luck. Godspeed, basically.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. And I think we'll come across her again. We're not done with that character.
She definitely shows up again later in the series, I think.
Yeah. But who knows what we're actually going to see, because and I have to give the author credit because she was involved with the writing of this. So her mixed with the Netflix writers, they did a good job picking out the things to keep and picking out the things to leave out.
I think one of the biggest reason why I didn't like the books is because it was told entirely from Alina's point of view. And she was very, very whiny, very angsty, very much in love with Mal. And we just got endless pages of her angsting about Mal. But in the show, we were constantly head hopping, but not in an obnoxious way. It was a very much like, okay, we're going to be with Alina. We're going to be with Mal. We're going to see Mal.
It was the Six of Crows way. It was that philosophy from that book.
Yes, but not too much and not obsessively, crazily jumping between stuff. I really want to give props to whoever edited and wrote all those transitions between the scenes, because those were so beautiful. That was a mixture of the writers and the editors in the show. Like that was, they would jump between somebody saying, friends do stupid shit about Mal and Alina. And all of a sudden you see Kaz doing stupid shit for Inej. And I was like, I love this. This is a beautiful transition.
Oh,
why can't you do this in the book?
I know. It's like she got a second stab at it. And this is what it should have been. But you know what? Don't get it wrong. Alina did still swoon over Mal incessantly. Like, okay, so Kevin actually watched the first 2 episodes with me, and then he didn't want to watch it anymore because it had so many YA vibes, especially when, they're laying in the bed and they're like got their hands imaginarily reached out to each other.
Touch through the screen.
He was looking like he was about to Earl. He was like, ugh.
I don't blame him. It was so YA.
It was cheeseball. I did roll my eyes at that. I'm like, really? I'd have a knife in that hand if I was so uncomfortable in my new surroundings.
Well, she did hide the knife under the pillow.
I know. I don't care.
So
it's like in hand, not trying to grab some imaginary hand and look into someone's eyes. It's not really there.
Imaginary eyeballs. Imaginary googly eyes.
It was so cheesy. That part was cheesy.
Yeah, no, it was definitely muted for the TV show, but still there so much. Alina just jumps from unhealthy codependency to unhealthy codependency to unhealthy codependency. And I really just want to put that poor girl in therapy. Like, come on, let's stand up for yourself.
They all need a little bit, to be frank.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, even Mal. So I did like the changes they made to him. And as far as I feel like he was a lot less whiny in the show than he was in the book.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
After rereading the plot summary this morning, in the plot, he flips out the first time he sees Alina at the little palace and they fight because he's like, oh, you're here and you left me and you're wearing his colors and I don't like you. And I'm so glad they cut that out of the TV show.
Yeah.
Reading that line, I was like, I remember hating this.
Yes. I thought for sure he was going to walk in and see them together and have a cow, but they didn't even see each other until after she escaped.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God for TV editing.
Yes. Because while I feel like the books are really YA focused and not necessarily inclusive of older readers, some older readers might like it if you're really in the YA zone. But some YA adults enjoy and young adults enjoy. And I don't think that the Grishaverse is really for adults. But Netflix made this show palatable for adults for the most part.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. It was YA. It was clearly YA, but there was enough CG work going on, and
there was a sex scene, and it was actually a gay sex scene. And I was like, wow, the only sex scene in the show is a gay sex scene. Gay diversity.
Yeah. And actually they even changed, I don't know if you remember in the books when the Darkling kissed Alina, it was him kissing her.
Yes.
But in the show,
that synopsis this morning, she kissed him first.
Yeah. Yeah. Show. So they made her a little more aggressive and more control and more in control, I guess, even though she was being manipulated still. It was her choice, I guess, to cross that line.
Which, again, I like a little more in the show, but Alina is one of my least favorite characters because she's so passive. And she basically just believes what anybody is telling her at any point. She had a little bit more control in the TV show than I remember from the book, but it was still very, very passive.
Yeah.
The Darkling comes and tells her stuff and she just believes him immediately. But his mother comes along and tells her stuff and she believes her immediately. And somebody else comes along and tells her stuff and she just believes them immediately. And I'm like, can you think for a second? Can you stop and try to piece stuff together instead of fighting with everybody as soon as somebody tells you something different?
I know. And she did. But in the book, she did the same thing. When the Darkling's mother, or what was the lady's name? They called her Bakra.
Yes.
When she said, "Oh, my son is this. He's trying to do that." She's like, "Oh, okay, I gotta run."
Yeah. No, I mean, she did that exactly in the books and the TV show. Again, it was they followed the plot line very, very closely in that sense.
Yeah.
But it was still, I'm just like, why, Alina? Why? Please. I know you have a brain in there somewhere.
I know.
Please use it.
Even the Grisha in general were more colorful. Because I don't remember any color in those books. In that trilogy, I don't remember Black Grisha, and
I remember the Darkling wore black because he was the Darkling and he was the only one who could wear black.
I mean, they kept trying to black people.
Oh, black people. Yeah, no, it was like an entirely white world in this book.
Like we had several black women, Grisha. Let me clarify.
Sorry. I was like, the color black.
I'm like, let me clarify before she goes on this tangent.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for stopping me.
Yeah.
No, the casting was very colorful, and I was very pleased with all of that. Like it was good to see a diverse cast. But I do want to point out that it was a little weird that Elena was the only shoe-like person we saw, and everybody kept saying they were at war with the shoe, but nothing else was ever mentioned about the shoe. Like we didn't see anything about the war with the shoe. We didn't hear about any wars with the shoe. It was just like, oh, your shoe, so we hate you because we're at war. And that was it.
Right. Well, maybe next season they'll weave more in. Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I don't even freaking remember book 2. I'll need to read like a recap like you read or something, or re-listen to our episode.
Oh, yeah. No, I recommend the fandom Wikipedia. They had an excellent recap of book 1. And I was like, oh, yeah, I blocked all of this from my memory for a good reason.
I remember now.
I remember now. This is what happened.
I mean, that to me, that says so much when you basically freaking forget almost everything that happens until you're like retold.
I'm sitting there watching this show last night because I binged it all in a single night. And I'm like, wait a second. I remember the first episode very clearly. You know, she's on the boat and the light explodes. And then I'm like, I remember these plot points vaguely. Like, yes, she goes to the little palace. And yes, there's lots of training. And yes, there's the fate and the party and everything. But when's book 2? When's book 3? Like,
right.
At one point I was like, did they just condense the whole thing into one series?
Well, they did condense her training. Her training was light. She had training light in this show.
Thank God, because they dragged that shit out in the book and I hated it because it just went on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever.
It did go on for a long time. And I'm glad they mixed the two storylines because without it, if this was only Elena and Mal and the general and, you know, the Grisha side of things,
it would have been so fucking boring.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Yeah. It's good that they mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that they brought in the Six of Crows people. Like that made it different and exciting enough. And again, their editor and their writers jumping between the scenes was so beautiful because I just start getting annoyed with Elena and then we change and we look at Cass and I just start getting annoyed with Cass and then we change to Mal.
I'm just about tired of you. Thank goodness we're getting a different scene. Switch.
Yes, that's exactly how it would go. And I'd be like, yay, okay.
We also learned a little bit about the Fjerda people, you know, from Nina's point of view. You know, weren't the Fjerda the guys where Mateus is from? They're like kidnapping Grisha and putting them on trial, quote unquote, which basically means we're just executing them for the most part.
Yeah. We're making ourselves feel better because we're saying it's a trial, but then we just kill them.
Yeah.
They were the ones who attacked Elena in I think it was the second episode, you know, when she was with the Darkling in his carriage and going to the little palace.
Oh my gosh,
I think way back when we first talked about this in the podcast, we questioned if the Darkling had set that whole thing up.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wanted to look like a hero in front of Elena. And watching it again, they kept saying, oh, they must have just figured it out. Oh, we have so many spies. They must have just heard and found out and figured it out. And I was like, do you just know that you have spies in your rank and not care?
I mean, you know what? If I had spies, I would use them in a way. Like we just got finished talking about with Sabir Tahar's book.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we know you're a spy.
Yep, we know you're a spy, so we're just going to say this random shit in front of you. We're going to call you out on it. And yeah, again, even like with the Darkling and the Grisha, if you have spies, wouldn't you try to root them out or something?
I'd manipulate them. Yeah, root them out, manipulate them, or root them out and kill them. One or the other.
Yeah. So again, it felt very much like he was manipulating that whole situation. And they never came out and explicitly said anything, but his mother was like, yeah, he's had centuries to learn how to manipulate young girls like you. So it's like, is that the confession we get? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I'm just going to say, yeah, he created that whole situation because he wanted to look like the good guy in front of Alina.
Come in and just slice people apart with his shadows.
Because why not? If you're the Darkling, just kill with shadows. Just do it.
I guess maybe he's only called the Darkling amongst the Grisha because everyone else refers to him as General Kerrigan. So I guess they're trying to make him seem not so scary by using that General Kerrigan name to the external world, you know, in external people in that world. So he could trick them. But in the book, I don't remember him using a general anything. He was just the Darkling.
Either. He was just the Darkling. That's what I remember. But again, I don't remember jack shit. So if anybody does remember the books, please tell us what happened in the books.
Yeah, I feel like some things came back to me on their own, but other things didn't, clearly, because I clearly didn't remember they got the stag at the end of the first book. I'm like, was that?
I had to look that up this morning. Like, I specifically had to go read that because, I was watching. I was like, isn't this the plot of book 2? Them going to hunt the things? And 3? I don't remember anything.
But I think they did explain the lore of the stag better in the movie than they did in the book. Because I just remember being kind of confused by those scenes at the end there. Now that, I'm remembering it, I just remember not really being clear. And I think if you guys go back and listen to that episode, I feel like we had conversation about the stag thing and we were all kind of like, I'm not sure exactly.
Go listen to us and tell us what we said.
I'm pretty sure we were not crystal clear on it.
Probably. I don't remember.
I might have a better idea of what we said in the podcast than you did because I listened to them so many times when I record them. So it kind of like is in there a little bit.
It should be in there. Yeah, I have no memory of the podcast or the books.
She's like, whatever I said. I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember, you guys. It's been too damn long.
It has been a long time. With that said, that's been a long time for that trilogy. We just read Six of Crows, and we're still struggling a little bit, even with the Six of Crows stuff.
Week. It's been a fucking week. And I'm like, who's Nina? I can't with myself, you guys. I just fucking can't.
Who is that? I don't know.
Nina? Sure. That sounds like a great person. Oh, she was a whole ass character and we saw her point of view too many fucking times. Oh my God.
Yeah. And they did change a lot with those characters too. Like, for example, Kaz did not work for like what was he like? He was supposed to be like, not a soldier, but like he worked for, was it a king or who was it they worked for in the book? They were a part of like the king's troops. Because remember in the book, the king's money freed Inej, not Kaz's money.
It wasn't the king. I think he's like the baron of the underground or something.
He was somebody who had a lot of money.
Quote unquote ruler.
Right.
He's Kaz's boss. Kaz has a boss in the books.
Right. And his money freed Inej.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't this like balance hanging open.
Mm-mm.
So they changed that stuff as well, which I didn't hate necessarily.
And Inej wasn't scared of Tantaline as she was in the books, which I'm pretty sure we called that out. Watching that, I was like, thank God she's not this weak little scared thing anymore.
She goes into the menagerie with her, all her weapons, and she's like, I guess the security makes her take all her weapons, and she's like, all these knives go on the table, and she goes, pulls one out of her hair, and he's like, oh, that's a new one. She just looks at him, you want to see how it works? Like, oh my gosh,
beautiful. Yeah.
She will cut you. That. She will cut you. But
she will cut you.
But it was good how they used her to kind of pull in that other character that wasn't in the books at all, the conductor.
Mm-hmm. He was crazy. I did not trust him for a second. Mm-mm. But as soon as Inej was told to kill a man, I was like, how much you want to bet it's the conductor? How much you want to bet? The plot lines are going to connect here. And of course they did. Yeah. Because of course they did.
And of course, Kat shows up. Wait, you can't kill him. Wait.
Right at the last fucking second.
She like, look, I done got the nerve up to kill this dude. And now you try to get in my way. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go Inej. So much better in the TV show than the books.
I know. Like there are so many aspects that are like clear deviations, but I loved all of them. That's why I feel like as the series goes on, and I think I will do like you did, I will read a recap before I start season 2. But I think this is going to be one of those things like the Bridgertons, where they are going to deviate hardcore against these books. The more we get into it, the more they will deviate. I think season 1 is going to be the closest that the series have been to the script.
I hope so.
I think they're just going to get further and further apart going forward. And I also think, as far as my opinion, and when it comes to do I recommend reading these books after the series, I'm going to be exactly where I was with the Bridgerton series. I read The Duke and I said, I'm not reading any more of those fucking books, but I will watch the show. I feel the exact same way here. I'm done with the Grisha books. I'm not reading any more in the world, but I will keep watching this show.
Yeah. Yeah. This TV show is actually worth like a rewatch. I don't think I'd binge the whole thing again anytime soon, but I might watch it again next summer. Like I didn't hate it, I was going in with breath, kind of expecting to hate it because I didn't like any of the books. And I was like, well, maybe it'll be decent. And I actually like enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And again, I think it was the head hopping between all the different characters. We would see Alina and she would make her googly eyes, but that wasn't 100% of the show. It was like 45% of the show. Right. Like it was there, but it wasn't everything. And we would jump around and we'd see Kaz, and he wasn't 100% of the show, and we'd move away. And, we got to see Nina be really cool. And after I remembered her, I was like, yes, I love Nina. And,
I loved her. I think I said she was one of my favorites in that book.
Yeah. She was definitely one of my favorites in that book, and I forgot her. So that tells you what I thought about the book. It was a whole last week, and I forgot her.
And I like the actress they picked, too. I'm like, man, some of her outfits, though, they were having the cleavage showing. The cleavage was popping. I'm like, oh, my gosh, girl. You think I'll stay in there? Are they going to stay in?
That reminded me of something you said about how the book always mentioned her body and her weight and how like her clothes never fit. And I was like, is this their subtle way of doing that in the TV show? Like they can't physically say her clothes don't fit because she's too big, but here, let's pull her boobs out of her dress. Like,
in my opinion, the show made her, they picked a voluptuously shaped actress. Not what I would consider a fat at all. And even in the books, I didn't consider Nina fat. She just wasn't bone thin like Inej.
Yeah. Or even Alina. Alina's bone thin.
Yeah.
Soya was pretty thin. Like,
I mean, even in the show, Mal said to Alina, like, "Oh, you're looking healthy." He didn't say you
actually a
gained
thing
some
from
pounds.
the book.
Yeah.
Again,
like,
reading the synopsis this morning, it brought back the fact that she was very like sallow and repressed, and she had dark eyes under her skin, and her cheeks were hollow because she was repressing all of her magic. And then once she let her magic out and started eating, she looked healthier. Like she put some weight on her body because, you know, she's eating food.
Like, wow.
That was actually a thing from the book. Like, she's eating food. She's growing.
I forgot that was in the book. I'm sitting there like, oh my God.
And Wikipedia, it tells you everything.
Oh, I'm gonna have to read it next time before I start season 2. I will definitely be checking that out. And I may actually re-listen to our podcast too, because it will be a whole nother year plus some before we see season 2. There's no way on this, you know, God-fearing earth that I'm going to reread these books, or
hell no.
I'm not doing it. So I will use, you know, the things available to me, the internet and the podcast to help me refresh before I start the second season.
Yep.
I might rewatch the finale again before the next season starts.
Yeah. If I have somebody who hasn't seen the show, or if I'm bored and there's literally nothing else to watch, I might watch the show again. Like, it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. I'm not opposed to rewatching it.
No, it's good.
I'm just not obsessed with it. Like, it's not, I'm very surprised that I liked it, is what it boils down to.
I felt like in my bones, you know, I would like it because of the articles I read that said they were blending these books. So I'm like, so instantly in my mind, I'm like, well, they're changing the story. If they're blending these stories, they're changing it, because there's no way. So I was very curious and hopeful to see what, because I knew it wasn't going to be a 1-to-1. So without that, I'm like, I wondered what could it be? I went in with an open mind, expecting something different, and I got something different. So
yeah, I knew they were blending the stuff together. I wasn't reading the articles because I knew, you know, like, I didn't like the 2 books. I'm not excited about it. I'm just gonna like go in with a clean slate and an open mind and just like, I hope I like it. And I did. Like, I surprisingly, I'm going to keep using that word, surprisingly liked it. So, and I loved the way they tied Kaz and his crew into trying to capture Alina, and it worked within Alina's story.
It did.
Again, reading the recap, she absolutely climbed into somebody's carriage in the book. Yeah, like, that's a true fact. But it just happened to be Kaz's in the TV show instead of a random person she never saw
hilarious.
Before. Oh my God.
So Kaz and Inej come back, like, pretty much stumping back with a sad face, like, we couldn't get this girl. And
we lost her.
Like, ask me where she is.
Just ask me.
Just ask me. And
just
they're
ask me.
Like, okay, what? Like,
where? Jack? Where? He's like, I know where she is. She's close by.
That was hilarious. Like, go figure the chances, but you know.
Of course, because
good writing.
I was laughing so hard during that scene, and I was like, yes, this works. This is great.
They were kind of comic relief a little bit at times.
They were, especially Jesper. Jesper was the Black gay comic relief guy.
Yeah.
And it didn't rub me the wrong way like half the time. Half the time I was like, can we not do this trope? But half the time I was like, this is working for me. I really like it.
Yeah, they did a good job with it. Netflix
like that
has been doing a good job with adaptations, period, lately. Yes. They know what people like. Yes. They know how to transform something into something that the watchers will like. And I do feel like if you never read one thing about these books, you would still enjoy the show.
Absolutely.
Still would understand what was going on.
Oh, yeah. No, I will tell people don't read the books, watch the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, people I know, I'll be like, no, you won't like these books. I know your reading styles. You won't like the books. Don't read the books. Just watch the show.
This is another one that goes down in the history books where the adaptation was better.
Yes. So much better.
It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it does hard. It hits all the right spots.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they were head hopping and showing us different stories, like Mal's story. In the book, we don't know what Mal was doing while Alina was training. We just get his 2-sentence synopsis later on. He's like, oh yeah, we were hunting the stag and then everybody died. Whereas here, we see him going off with his friends and we see them hunting the stag and then we see his friends die.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, didn't he have friends later? Apparently that's other characters.
Yeah.
But we actually got to see that. And I really enjoyed that fact instead of just listening to Alina pine about Mal.
Oh my God, right? It was much better getting his point of view of the whole thing.
Yes. And seeing him fall in love with her was kind of annoying and obnoxious. And yeah, it's okay. So you're both your true north. Shut up and get over it.
I mean, he was writing in those letters.
But I'm done with this.
I know. He's writing in those letters and she never got them and he never got her letters. And they're like, oh, I guess that happened. Oh, well, let's move on.
I mean, they fought about it in the books, but I'm glad they didn't have that fight because I would have no.
Well, that made them seem more mature in the show because we've got bigger fish to fry than have an argument about these damn letters. We've already said neither of us got these letters. Now let's focus on what's important.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
So that was
and I gotta say, with all of that said, congrats to Lee Bardugo for a good adaptation. Congrats to you, girlfriend, for getting that executive producer credit.
Yes.
Get your money.
Yes, get that money.
Yes.
I know you're selling books. I hope somebody likes them.
Yeah. But I do think of this as almost like her redo because she supposedly was very involved with this process. I feel like this is what, if she had known all these characters before she created them or, kind of knew ahead, she could have done something like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is going to be one of the rare instances where I prefer Lee's storytelling visually rather than verbally, because I don't like her books. I don't like her style of writing. I just don't. But I like the story that's being told in this TV show. And I know it's very, very similar to the books, but also very different.
Yeah.
So I think I just like her storytelling in a different format.
Yep. I agree.
So that's
me. I'm glad we watched it.
I know.
And
I was dreading this.
Was worth it. Even though we didn't love it, it was worth it to get the context.
Yes, I'm so glad we read it to get the context, even though I forgot it. But
only, like you said, only because we had already read this world. But I agree with you as well. If someone asked me point blank, should I read these books? I'll say, nah, just watch the show.
No.
Skip it. Just watch it. It's good. It's great on TV.
I know you're reading style. Don't read this.
Yeah.
You like angsty YA? You might like the books. If you like really, really angsty YA with barely any kissing, go ahead and read the books.
Yeah. I mean, for real.
Anybody else? Nah. Just stick with the show.
Stick with the show. Netflix does it again.
There's a lot of action. There's a lot more kissing. There's a lot more banter and plot lines to follow. And,
I mean, not to mention the cinematography was very good. The music, nothing hits better than good music.
Oh, yes. Oh, the music was phenomenal.
Yes, they picked really good, songs to go underneath things. I mean, the production value was spectacular. The art stuff that they did, with having those horns embedded in Alina's skin. Watching that scene, I was getting chills. Yikes!
Oh, yeah.
So the visual effects were on point. I mean, really, there are so many good, positive things about this show that just added so much more to the story.
I have a question that was not answered in my Wikipedia fandom article, but I don't remember anybody was like really able to cross through the fold before she had her explosion. Like, nobody was crossing through the fold at all.
No, I don't remember that at all. So I don't remember people. I don't even remember them talking about people going around it either.
Yeah, like I remember nothing about that. Was that ever part of the Shadow and Bones series? People who've read the books and remember, can you tell me? Like, I didn't think anybody was traveling across. They kept getting news from the other side, and it was like how? How is this happening? What's going on here? I know.
Yeah, they're like, they're 2 hours late. They were supposed to be here. Like, huh?
How did you know? You know, like if they're crossing and gonna die, how did you know they're supposed to come? Like, what's going on?
I didn't see a cell phone in anyone's hand, so I don't know.
Not even like a falcon that could fly above it in the sunshine and be safe. Like, I didn't understand all of that world building, and I didn't know if that was in the books or just something straight for the TV show, and that wasn't in Wikipedia fandom. So somebody please tell me, was that in the books? Is that just not explained? Is that... Tell me what happened, because I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
was my biggest like plot hole, world building hole. I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know Nina got put on a boat and disappeared? Like,
yeah.
Do you just have birds in the air following boats?
I don't know.
What's going on?
Yeah, that's true. It seems like if it's so easy to communicate with the fold and sneak through the fold, if you know some tricks, then what? It lowers
if the conductor
stakes.
Can get through, then why can't their ships get through?
And random people who walked through.
Although Alexei probably got through because Elena killed all of the Volcra around them.
Yeah, but I feel like they said, other than the conductor, I feel like in the show they said sometimes people would just stumble through.
Yeah, that was the thing too, that sometimes they just like get through, and you know, these people from this land are coming to visit, and they just came through the fold. I'm like, but how?
It's weird.
That was the thing that I didn't understand at all. So.
Somebody explain it to us. Tell us.
Please tell me like I'm 5 years old. Explain it to me. I don't get it. I'm not going to read the book.
Yeah, I'm not going back. I'm done. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, do you think there's anything else we should cover? I feel like we've done a good, thorough job of it.
We've pretty much covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys know we recommend it over the book.
The show over the books. Don't read the books. Yes. If you haven't read the books, don't do it. Save yourself. Don't do it.
Ditto that. Okay, so we are done for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you are still listening to the sound of my voice, I appreciate you for listening all the way to the end. And we'll be back real soon with another podcast. I mean, shoot, we could show up on a bookish chat. We could show up on a fantasy series. We can show up on, who knows, we might do some more special things in between. So you definitely want to subscribe. Make sure you are getting all the downloads and don't miss any of this fun. And we will catch you. Us. Yes. And we will catch you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Everybody.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction Podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.
Breaking up is hard to do, but when it comes to your wireless carrier, you should have left a while ago. You're over the big three carriers. You deserve better. Xfinity Mobile. Now you can get unlimited with 5G included for just $30 a month on the nation's fastest, most reliable network. So break free from the big three and save with Xfinity Mobile.
Take the savings challenge at xfinitymobile.com/mysavings to see how much you can save when you get Xfinity Mobile and internet together. Reduced speeds at 20 gigabytes per line. Most reliable based on Root Metrics US report. Results vary, not an endorsement.
Breaking up is hard to do, but when it comes to your wireless carrier, you should have left a while ago. You deserve better. Xfinity Mobile. Break free from the big three.
Get unlimited with 5G included for $30 a month when you get 4 lines on Xfinity Mobile. Prices may vary and are subject to change. Reduced speeds at 20 gigabytes per line.